Inside this month's issue of Success Magazine, we were delighted to introduce to you America's Rabbi, Rabbi Shmuley. Named one of the 10 most influential rabbis in America by Newsweek, Rabbi Shmuley is one of the world's leading relationship experts and philosophers of life. He was the host of the award-winning national TV show Shalom in the Home on TLC and was the host of a daily radio show on Oprah and Friends National Radio Network. Rabbi Shmuley, we're excited to have you here. Welcome to Success.
Thank you.
First of all, tell us a little bit more about yourself, how you were launched into this position of being quote-unquote America's rabbi.
Well, look, I'm a kid who grew up in Los Angeles and Miami. My parents divorced when I was a boy. That was a formative experience in my life because the people who brought me into this world couldn't get along. So I began to theorize, contemplate, how is it that two people can be happily under the same roof for the duration of their lives? How can we sustain, restore passion, intimacy in human relationships, and extrapolating beyond the family and beyond couples? How do we bring greater coexistence, harmony to the world at large? Is there a common humanity that we all share? And I found a lot of those answers in Judaism, and I started studying Judaism very seriously from about the age of 10 or 11. As far as being America's rabbi, look, America has many rabbis, but I believe passionately that Judaism, though a religion for Jews, has many answers to life's conundrums for non-Jews. In the same way that there are many Westerners who study yoga and then they have no plans to become Buddhist, I think many non-Jews can study some of the basic philosophy and tenets, values of the Jewish faith that are indeed universal. And it's time that some of the lessons that we have learned as a community throughout our long and turbulent history as to creating and sustaining strong families and closely knit communities be shared well beyond our community.
You're pretty prolific. So let's talk about the busy schedule that comes along with being a well-known and sought-after expert and how that's affected you personally. What one or two things have happened that made you sort of stop and reevaluate things in your life as you started to go on these great missionary pursuits?
Well, there's one overriding dictum by which I live, and that is, and I've said it on my TV show so many times, you are not a hero if the people who mean the most to you think the least of you. In other words, let's say you go out and you save the whole darn world, but your own kids think that you're a terrible father and your wife thinks you're a jerk. You know, who have you really helped? You have to first and foremost be a hero to your family. So one of the major things that got me to wake up in terms of schedule and allocation of time was when I was the rabbi at Oxford University for 11 years, between 88 and 99. And I was working with my students, teaching my students, raising money to build a big organization in Oxford, London, and Cambridge, and I was not home a lot. I was constantly on the move. And then my 9-year-old daughter, who was my eldest child, and my wife and I, thank God, are blessed with 9 children, she started getting very unhappy. And the teachers at school would ask her, what would make you happy? More friends, more dedicated teachers? She said, no, I want my daddy at home. Now, when you hear stuff like that, that's what rings through your mind. Are you out there saving the whole world and neglecting the most important world, which is the personal world? These are your kids, man. No one else is going to be there to save them. It's you. You are their personal Messiah. So many people want to be the world's Messiah. They want to end global conflict. They want to cure cancer. Okay, those are noble goals. But you can't do it on the altar of your children's well-being.
So you have 9 children.
Yes,
wow.
Thank God.
Yeah, that's amazing. So share with some other things you do to make time for the family with such a busy schedule. What are some of the practical things you do?
I make a huge amount of time for my kids, for my family, especially my wife, thank God, who, my parents divorced when I was a boy. Trying always to be happily married and prioritizing my wife and making her feel like I truly appreciate her because I have this extraordinary woman who's my wife is paramount. I try to read the kids' bedtime stories almost every night. I mean, I do have to travel. I do have to give lectures and do various things, but I try to make them very short trips. But I probably end up reading my kids' bedtime stories at least 4 nights a week. We probably have family dinner together about 5 nights a week, thank God. Family dinners are irreplaceable. They're a time when you get to hear what your kids did during the day. You get to download so much important information, their opinion of their teachers, the kind of friends that are influencing them. I also get to share with the kids things that happened to me during the day or it happened to the world. I share with them the latest news. And it's invaluable. And of course, we as a Jewish family are very fortunate to have the Sabbath. We have the Jewish Sabbath, which is starts every Friday night, it ends Saturday night, and no phones, no television, no multiplexes. We can't drive anywhere. We have this big, beautiful Friday night dinner where we invite many guests, and my kids love having guests. And we have beautiful conversations with all of our guests. And then the next morning we go to synagogue together, and then we play in the afternoon, especially in these beautiful long summer days. We play football, basketball, whatever it is. I mean, there are Sabbath restrictions of what you can and cannot do, but they're all designed to bring a sense of tranquility and peace. I've actually tried to share this Friday night family dinner as a national family dinner with families across America. I started an initiative called Turn Friday Night into Family Night, and people can go to the website. It's called FridayIsFamily.com, and there they will see celebrities and personalities like Dr. Mehmet Oz, like Dr. Phil, Mayor Villaraigosa of Los Angeles, Mayor Cory Booker of Newark, many others, who have done PSAs, public service announcements, endorsing this beautiful initiative and asking parents to give their children, regardless of religious affiliation or lack thereof, 2 uninterrupted hours every Friday night to turn Friday night into family night.
I like it. Beautiful. So let's move on to this. In a recent television interview that I saw, you said that we are a society of conformity. So explain to us what brings you to this conclusion and how it affects what we do as a result of it.
Well, I mean, let's face it. It seems that the operating force in society is fear. Men have this fear of failure. Women have a fear of aging and losing their attractiveness. We all fear that we won't be able to pay our bills in this recession. We fear our kids are going to make the wrong choices in life. We fear that passion in our marriages are going to be lost. We fear that our house is going to be taken away. But this fear actually starts from a much earlier age, and we see it in the form of peer pressure, the fear of being left out, the fear of not having friends. It erases the individuality of our kids. I mean, look at teenagers. These days, they all seem to dress alike, sound alike, and there is a spirit of conformity, and it only seems to get worse as we get older. We abandon so many of our personal dreams to make the world a better place, and we embrace what might be characterized as far more selfish dreams. Being an investment banker, being a hedge fund manager. This isn't bad, or being famous, which is what 80% of high school students say they want to be. They don't even care how they get there. They just want to be famous. These things aren't necessarily bad. Like I said before, they can be utilized for good. But that's not the motivation. It's not to make the world better. It's to be famous or to be rich or to be powerful. It seems that idealism is only really sustained in our youth. And as we get older, we get a little bit more cynical. And that's what I mean by the conformity. Suddenly our life's goals, I mean, are they really noble? If your whole goal in life is to have a big house, to live in the right neighborhood, to be invited to the right cocktail parties, to get a promotion at work, I mean, you get one chance on this earth. You get one chance to live. That's it. Ask yourself if the things for which you live are really worth living for. And the best way to discern that is in the following way. Imagine for a moment that at your funeral, whoever's going to eulogize you, whether it's a rabbi if you're Jewish or a priest if you're Catholic, minister if you're Protestant, what would you want them to say? Would you want them to say, Charlie Smith was such a good man. Boy, did he have a fast sports car. It was amazing how quickly it went from 0 to 60 in 2.3 seconds. Cheryl Anderson was such an amazing woman. Man, she owned her own private jet. And then he starts describing the interior of the jet. This would be embarrassing if we were remembered by this stuff. This stuff would never be mentioned in a eulogy because it's not valuable. What is going to be mentioned is, this was a good man. He did good things. He took care of his elderly parents. He always prioritized his children. He was devoted to his wife. That's what we want said at the end of our life. So why only at the end? These are the things that we should be living with and for as well.
So if you were to break it down to what your core message or belief is as the basis of all your teachings on relationships and values, what do you think that core message is?
My core message about values is that values have to be life-affirming. Whatever values bring more life, bring greater harmony, bring people together, those are important values. Whatever values do the opposite, instilling a culture of death. Every value has to be measured against this idea of a culture of life. We're surrounded in a culture that just is obsessed with death. Watch the evening news any given night, whether it's NBC, CBS, ABC. Every one of those broadcasts starts with the end of the world. The Mississippi River is overflowing. Everyone's going to drown. Tornadoes, oil leaks, hurricanes are all going to die. The economy is collapsing. No one owns a home anymore. I mean, God almighty, I'm sick and tired of these prophets of doom. These aren't the right values. The right values are, these are challenges, but we believe in life and we're a culture of life and we're going to overcome them. And it seems that we're not interested in anything positive. How many biographies are there of Mother Teresa? I think there's 2, and one of them is an attack on her, actually. How many biographies are there of Adolf Hitler? 500, 1,000, 10,000? Who knows even? Our obsession with death and evil is beginning to take over our lives, and we have to have things that are slightly more life-affirming. I think we need movies that are inspirational again, beyond just cartoons from Pixar. I think that we need television shows that don't just mock marriage constantly and mock kids constantly. I think that our culture can have deeper values.
I love it. Beautiful. Love that litany. Now, I also found some great quotes from you called Schmoolyism, so I'd like to go through some of those as part of our discussion here today. And one that's really interesting to me, there's this whole happiness movement that seems to be going on, but one of your Schmoolyisms is happiness can never be a goal in life. It is a natural byproduct of a life full of purpose and meaning. Give us your different take on this idea of the pursuit of happiness and what we really should be pursuing.
Well, Thomas Jefferson, I think, condemned us all to lives of depression and misery when he wrote in the Declaration of Independence that this country is being founded on the pursuit of happiness. Thomas Jefferson was one of the greatest Americans that ever lived, one of the great human beings of history, amidst being very fault-ridden. But here he got it wrong, because you can never pursue happiness. Pursuing happiness is like trying very hard to fall asleep. The harder you try, the more you stay awake. And the harder you try to be happy, the more elusive it becomes. Rather, happiness is the natural outcome, the organic byproduct of a purpose-lived life, of a meaningful life. When you feel that your life is suffused with meaning, you automatically feel fulfilled, content, and happy. So that's what we should have said. I think the Declaration of Independence could have said, I mean, I'm not trying to say that I could have drafted it better than Thomas Jefferson, for goodness sake, but, or at least let's interpret his words to mean that in a free society, a democratic society, people are free to pursue meaning and purpose. You know, in a government-controlled autocracy, there is no meaning and purpose. You exist for the dictator. You exist to make him and his family rich. You're nothing but a cog in a wheel. But in a free society, you are there to pursue goodness, to do great things with your life. I mean, you can do bad things with your life, but you're never going to be happy.
Yeah. Well, let's keep challenging these day-to-day functional stresses that people seem to have. There's another Schmoolyism that I came across that speaks to this topic that I've been discussing on my blog and in the magazine as well. And here it is, quote, "Life today is filled with pressures and challenges like never before. Keeping up has become the great challenge of all. We have to ensure that we don't become slaves to our work and that we have downtime with family and spiritual pursuits that keep the endless grind in proper perspective." End quote. Couldn't agree more with this statement. Explain what challenges and pressures you see as having the greatest effect on our lives, and are they external or internal?
Well, the first thing is we need to know beyond the cliche that materialism and material things don't bring happiness. You know, every television commercial in America shows you that if you have this car, you're going to be happy. If you even have this $20 new appliance that could pick your nose hairs, that's going to make you happy. We become dependent on these things. And that's why eBay is so successful, because it was all a lie. This stuff never made us happy, so we need to sell it for pennies on the dollar on eBay. That's one of the major pressures, and it is external because it relies on this false belief that something outside of me is going to make me happy. That's one of the great lies of life, that quality of life comes from external accoutrements that prop me up, bells and whistles I acquire that make me feel successful. You need to discover these things on the inside, and you need to have inner contentment. Inner contentment, as I said before, comes from a purpose-lived life. You need to be connected to community. You need to contribute to that community. You need to really give your time to your children. Get rid of these false ideas of quality time. Quality time is basically a farce created by parents who don't have time for their children. Kids need quantity time. They need to see you at home. They need to see that you're content to being home. They need to see that you enjoy reading them a bedtime story. And one of the great challenges also, I think, is insatiability where it comes to marriage and relationships. How many women are out there who feel that having supported a man, by support I don't mean financial, I mean, mostly emotional. You're someone's wife and you've been with him through thick and thin from, let's say, your mid-20s or early 30s, and now she's 45, 50, 55. Does she really have to feel that she has to shove a needle into her head to get rid of a couple of lines in order for you to still be attracted to her? So that when the two of you make love, you're not thinking about some woman who works in your office? That she actually knows you're mentally present and not just physically present? We have to recreate love in America. I mean, divorce is becoming the norm. It's at 50%. It's come down a little bit, but, in this recession, divorce is actually falling because people can't even afford to get divorced. But find one movie that still celebrates marriage that isn't a chick flick. The women still believe in marriage. The only men that believe in marriage in America are gay men. They're the only ones who are like fighting for the right to be married. In the meantime, the straight guys are running to the hills. What are you gay guys doing? Why are you ending the party? Stop petitioning the Supreme Court. The gay men want to get married and the straight men want to remain, they want marriage abolished for all. They believe in equality by no one getting married. So there's a lot of pressures. And I guess what sort of saddens me a little bit is that we never really discussed this stuff on the national stage.
Mm-hmm. Well, we do have lots of influencers within the audience of success, and so let's bring this conversation to a national stage. Give us your best tips for making sure that we don't lose perspective because of the challenges and pressures of everyday life. What could some of our listeners right now do to sort of change the pattern of their lives so that they're putting more emphasis in the right places?
Okay, first and foremost, you have to have a schedule that lets you come home. If you need to travel for work, so be it. But even then, you got to speak to your supervisors, and you have to be home. That's the first thing. Quantity time is the first thing. Second thing, you have to have a function-free zone at home. Let's say after 10 p.m., 9 p.m., you and your wife agree, no more discussions about the kids' schooling, no more discussions about where you're going on family vacation, paying the bills, the dry cleaning. You need to be a man and a woman again. You need to really work on your marriage. You weren't just created to be mom and dad, or two earners who pay the mortgage. You were once loved each other. You need a function-free zone. Watch less TV, read more books, have more interesting conversations. Don't bore each other. Become an interesting person. Give more charity. I think charity makes us successful financially because we're not just living for ourselves. I actually think you become rich by giving charity. And if you speak to most of the world's philanthropists, they will tell you the more money they gave, the more money they made. And I'm not just saying it as a spiritual thing. I think it spurs you to greater creativity because you feel good about the money you're making. It's not just to buy yourself another vacation somewhere.
So before we wrap up, Shmuley, I'd love for you to tell us just the one thing that, if we did it today, would make the most difference in how one goes about their daily life so that they can find purpose and meaning, so that they can clear out the distractions, so they can get focused on the things that matter the most. If there's just one takeaway that they do today that starts them in a different direction in their life, what would that be?
It's the C word, curiosity. Reawaken your sense of curiosity. Don't let life go by without trying to fathom it and understand it. When you undertake certain actions, try to understand why you did it. What was your motivation? When your wife, your husband, your kids do something, try to put yourself in their shoes and understand them. As things go on in the world, try to understand that. Curiosity is life's greatest blessing because it engages you in life. It means that you believe that life has layers that are not revealed to you, and you can penetrate those layers. It means that you overcome